Okay, and we are live and direct. Welcome back to another Monday Night Live right here on Amazon Fire TV with the Los Angeles Tribune TV station. Natalie, boy, do we have an exciting show for people this week.
Well, it's exciting just to see you back because I missed you last week. I mean, I love Goldie,
Absolutely.
but I missed you. And then I look into our green room tonight, and it's just, I can just feel the energy bubbling. So I think
It
there'll
is
be laughter,
electric.
there'll
It
be
is
insight. We're
magnetic.
awesome.
Absolutely. And we have such an incredible subject matter and topic to discuss today. We're about to do a deep dive with some real powerhouses. Every single person on this panel is the embodiment of this subject matter for the show. And again, we live in a world where, according to Gallup, Natalie, over 70% of Americans said they're either dissatisfied, disengaged, and downright miserable with their place of employment. So as we now transition to a post-COVID world, now more than ever before, people need to have a calling-centric life and not a career-centric life. So today we're going to talk about the difference between a career and a calling. And before we bring in this incredible panel, just want to hear some thoughts from you as a doctor, as someone that has transformed the lives of many people in your career. How do you see the distinction and the difference between the two?
Well, first of all, I think a calling comes from your soul. And so if you don't know who you are, you don't know what your calling is. So it always goes back to ourselves. So that reconnection with ourselves is first and foremost. Unfortunately, very often that happens by us like going really, really deep down. A career can be great as well, I think, if it helps you make your calling happen on the other side. You know, sometimes a career can pay your bills. But on the other hand, I think a calling just helps you be so much happier and more fulfilled.
I agree with that, Natalie. And I can't wait for the experts and the guests today to really do a deep dive as we discuss the subject matter. So let's go ahead and roll them in. Boy, what an all-star lineup we have today for this week's show. I'd like to start off with everybody doing a brief introduction, just a quick 30-second introduction about what they do, where they're from, and just initial thoughts about the distinction between a career and calling. About 30 seconds to a minute. Let's go ahead and start with Tina. Go ahead, Tina. The floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Tina Thurston, and yeah, career versus calling. I had a career path in my 20s. I was going to be an accountant, and the universe said something else. And so I've been on a totally different trajectory since that time, self-publishing 2 books, being involved in various volunteer services, advocacy for foster care. I mean, it's like my childhood has come back around to help me be able to speak about things that I had no idea I was going to be speaking about as an adult. So that's what I see, career versus calling. It's definitely something that when you listen to your soul, you will be guided to places that you didn't even know you would be going to. So
thank you for that, Tina. And we're going to revisit, and again, just keep it brief, everyone, because we're going to revisit. We have plenty of time to do some serious deep dives. Next up, a woman who I know spends a lot of time in front of the camera to inspire and uplift people, Carla. Go ahead, Carla. Let people know a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and just, initial thoughts about this distinction between career and calling.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carla Elizondo. I am a registered associate marriage and family therapist. I'm based in Los Angeles, California. So right now I'm a therapist, but I also have a talk show on Instagram called Inside Talk Show. And I have been a student of the mind. My creed is know thyself and you shall know the universe. So for me, this topic is very dear to my heart. I think calling comes from the inside. Career is more from the outside.
Thank you for that, Carla. And it's true, at the top of the gate in ancient Greek, whenever you would enter, it would say, know thyself. So I think that it's now perhaps more than ever before, what, this year has proven is that we need a new kind of leadership, quite frankly, a new kind of thought leader on this planet. And I think that starts with knowing yourself. And next up, someone who I know that she knows herself very well, Jennifer. Let's go ahead and go to Jennifer at that bottom row. I know we have a little bit of a Brady Bunch thing going on here. Jennifer, what are your first thoughts and a little bit about you? And then we'll go to Ada. Go ahead, Jennifer.
So my name is Jennifer Kabuki. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me here today. I'm a master NLP practitioner, master clinical hypnotherapist, best-selling author and speaker, co-founder of High Vibe Leaders. I'm from Orange County, California. And this a career versus a calling was transformational for me. It was life-changing. I believe that a career stems from upbringing and a calling comes from within, just like she just said. And it's exciting. I'm excited to deep dive right into it.
Thank you so much. And Ada, my dear friend Ada, go ahead. Ada and I go way back, but she's also a speaker. She's spoken on stages, and she has really gone through. And Ada, I hope we spend the next 90 minutes, especially with you, doing a deep dive, because I know you and I, over the years, we've talked about your career and the different paths that you've had in your career. And as my friend, we've had a lot of conversations about this career versus calling. So I'm excited for you to share your story a little bit in the next 90 minutes. But before we get into that, just your initial thoughts on this and a little more about you. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So thank you. I'm super blessed and excited to be on the panel. Everybody sounds and looks very awesome. So nice to meet all you guys. It's hard to define myself by a career right now because of where I'm at. And you know that, Mo. But right now I am a learning and development and talent expert. And I've been many things in my career. I've found myself, and this has been a very pivotal year for me. And I'm excited to share with you guys some of the things that I've learned. But I think that a calling is something that you can't run away from. It burns deeply within you, and you end up bringing that to everything that you do. Those of us that are persistent stumble upon greatness because we don't give up on being ourselves. And wherever you go, there you are. So your calling will find you. That's what I think.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And next up, Carlos is a friend of mine. I had a chance to spend some time with him about a week ago. And Carlos, should I tell them about how you and I almost got in a fight in a pizza shop with somebody, or should I leave that story out?
Leave that out.
Okay. We won't tell that story. But what I will say is that Carlos is the best-selling author of a book that I don't read. I study this book. It's an incredible book. It's called Work Like an Immigrant. Best-selling book. It's not a book that you read. You don't read it, you study it. And if you see my copy of this book, there are Post-it notes in it, there are highlights in it. I have little, notes inside of it. It is such an incredible book. So Carlos, little bit more about you and, initial thoughts on this idea of career versus calling.
Oh man, I'm just so happy to be here, guys. I am the fat version of Superman, That's why I have my Clark Kent head, you guys make me look good, man. I don't even feel 70 pounds overweight with this post-COVID. That's why I have my invisible belly here, It's to hide it. We all have darks. I'm just super proud and honored to be here with this incredible woman. I was raised by women. And I just love seeing women winning, and just a huge shout for every single one of you here. And I saw Goldie putting her comment here. I love her. She's amazing. And, when I see a career versus calling, my best definition is the career is your test, is you going through the test right now. And your calling is your testimonial. You ever heard that saying? You gotta go through the test before you get to the testimonial, baby. So that's how I look at it. Because a lot of people right now are being tested through the COVID, through the difficult things that are happening in life. But I'm telling you right now, my friend, it doesn't matter how hard it is or how hard it gets. Just know that test of yours right now is going to link to your testimonial. And I will leave it at that because you know me, I can go on and on and on. So,
is that true, Tina? Is that true? Can Carlos go on and on? I know you shared a panel with him.
I'm not sure. I don't know if I've ever experienced
I think he's a very shy man. So, Lene, welcome back. I know we had a little bit of a technical problem there. It's 2020. What else is new? We all have technical issues every day. But just go ahead, Lene, give a little bit more about you, about yourself. What she will not share, because she just doesn't brag about this, is she's actually a former NFL cheerleading alumni. So I think that's really cool. That's a really cool thing, but she never brags about it, so I have to do that for her. But Lene, just go ahead, share a little bit more about you and initial thoughts on this idea of career versus calling.
Absolutely, Mo. Starting with that, I have a dance background and have had 3 iterations of careers, which I like to think are ultimately culminating in what I call a calling. Now, originally, I spent about 15 years in corporate America as a corporate paralegal and worked for some wonderful companies. And although that was a very wonderful career, I believe, Tina, right before I had technical difficulties with speaking of being an accountant, is movement, our movement, and helping people heal through movement and other holistic modalities. Now I own Holistic Performance and am also a doctoral candidate.
So, Lynette, you have a little auto
for
tune going on right now.
And psychotherapy. And
So we'll Lynette, it sounds like you have auto tune right now a little bit on your voice, like T-Pain style. So we'll bring you back in a little bit because we couldn't really hear you. But I want to take the conversation and I want to ask her to kind of spearhead the dialogue, because we're going to have an open forum here. So don't count on Natalie or myself to call on you guys with questions, but instead this is a fireside chat scenario. So if you feel inspired to speak, speak. But I want her to kind of spearhead the conversation, because she really was very powerful with what she was saying, and that's Carla. So Carla, I'd like you to kind of take charge here and do a little bit more of a deep dive between this distinction between these two ideas and your personal experience in this idea of career versus calling.
Thank you, Mo. For me, I think all of us we are called to this, phone call because it touches us in a way. When I got your topic on the email, I was so excited. For me, over the years, I've realized that the calling, you were absolutely right. The last woman that spoke, you can change careers over your life, but a calling is stuck. It's like there's a phone booth inside of you and the phone is ringing, and it might ring really lightly when you're younger, but as you get older and older, it gets loud. For me, I always didn't want to pick up the phone because I did not want to hear what it said. I thought, no, I got it worked out. I got this. I don't need to pick up the phone. I don't want to hear from you. I got this. So I really didn't trust. I did not trust my calling. I did not trust life. I didn't trust God. For me, it was a really tough one. So it was about trust for me and surrendering to my life's calling. And I thought, I was afraid that I would be, if I answered the call, I would have to be a nun, that I would have to go sell canned foods. Like, no, I like nice things. I want to live in a nice house. I don't want to I want to be married. I love men. I don't want to be a nun. That's what I thought my calling would be. And once you answer, you realize it is so much more. It's everything you wanted, but better. Nothing you could have planned could have turned out as good as if you surrendered to the call, answered it, and followed the directions. Even if they didn't make sense at first, even if it didn't look right, even if it hurt, just follow the instructions when you pick up the call. It's like, do you accept this mission? So that was my experience. In the past few years, I answered the call. And I was at a really low point, like I'm sure a lot of us are when we jump from career to career. And I had such that urge, like you ladies mentioned, it gnaws at your soul, and it, you can only take it for so long. So I just surrendered, threw my hands up and went into it, and I couldn't be happier.
And Carla, you mentioned something powerful, how you felt pain. And you were able to turn that pain into power. You were able to turn that suffering into purpose. And I think that what you shared is really an example of how when you're not aligned with the path that you're supposed to be on, the universe is going to let you know. And we have these sensors, right? We have these sensors. We have these sensors that say, hey, something's not right here. Kind of like, hey, I got to go to a doctor to get something checked out. Or you might feel something about someone and know that, hey, that person is just not the right kind of person for me in this life. Or if you
your
intuition absolutely. So, and I want to go now to Tina, because I feel like she was really, I could just sense in those eyes, my intuition is telling me that she really related with what you were saying. I'd like her to follow up a little bit on that, and then we'll go to Carlos. And guys, if you feel inspired, speak. Like I said, don't count on me or Natalie. This is not a typical interview style. This is an open forum. But just to get the ball rolling, Tina, go ahead.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I'm a poet. I've been a licensed massage therapist. I've been a body worker in healing touch therapy, all kinds of different modalities to help the human body and spirit along their path. I've written poetry for many years. I put this in a book and self-published it a few years ago, and little did I know where it was going to fall into the hands of people around the world and what kind of feedback I would hear back from my pain and my suffering of my childhood and life, how people could relate to it and how it's helped. For instance, I had somebody reach out to me recently who was going through a really rough spot and part of AA, and they sent me a picture of my book and said, "This damn book," and I thought, okay, and it's like, because they have that book, they're not going to go and go down a path that they've been before that they know is not a healthy path for them. Mm-hmm. So that's part of this calling that we're talking about. It's like, I had no idea that the rantings of my brain and poems and things that I created would be able to touch people and help them along their path and seeing a different, healthier way for their life to be here. So it's listening to that intuitive guidance. And I for sure have said, I don't want to be sucker punched anymore. Can I have a nudge? In fact, I don't want to run through the gate. I just want to walk through it calmly now. I don't need to go bursting full on running toward anything. Just let me walk. So that's the pace I'm at as I get older. Listening to that guidance and acting upon it, listening to what feels good versus that smack upside the head, you better go do this, So
I would love to continue this with Carlos, because what we know about Carlos, and if you read his book and if you listen to his testimonial, he grew up in the hood and he grew up in a very gang infested part of the world. And growing up, Carlos would make 50 cents a day selling bread. And he turned that, as a young man making 50 cents a day selling bread in a gang-infested, violent environment, he still knew that he was here for a purpose. He still had a vision, and he still had a belief, and he turned that pain into power. And I want you, Carlos, to just continue the conversation that Carla started and Tina added to, and continue this theme as we go across the board of what that really means for you.
Man, this is this message that we are sharing here. The world, needs to hear this more than ever, man. Hopefully the Netflix is listening, because they need to bring all of us together.
No. Amazon is listening. Excuse me. We can't talk about Netflix over here, sir.
We talk about Netflix later, you and I. But, and here's what I always say, guys. Like, ladies and gentlemen looking at us right now, just know that somebody in the world, they have worse than you right now. I just need you guys to believe in yourself a little bit more today. Just 1% more today, because it's possible. I mean, sometimes, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. You just have to pat yourself in the back and realize that you overcome so much shit. Think about how much stuff you guys have overcome to be here right now. And you have a clean roof over your head. You have an internet. Your house is secure. I remember just the sounds of bullets. And every time that I would hear the sounds of bullets coming home with an empty basket on my bicycle, I always remember my grandma saying, son, just focus on living, because if you focus on dying, that's what's going to happen. You already know the drill. Somebody stole it from the Bible. Whatever your focus goes, your energy goes. Somebody personal development stolen. But it's so true, because when I would hear the sounds of bullets, before, my younger self that wanted to kill himself at age 6.5 would start thinking about all the evil things that was done to me prior to that moment. From my father dying in a car explosion, from my stepfather that was murdered, from being abused and molested. That was my mind, where my mind would go. I went through tremendous amount of evil. But you guys talking about that calling, that guidance, and when I pause and I pay attention, and I was 6.5, and right before I stabbed myself, I listened, and I called it the whispers from God. And you know what God said? I say, hey, kid, somebody else has worse than you out there. I just want you to believe in yourself a little bit more. Know that your future doesn't have to equal your past unless you carry on the stories with you. Come on, Brother Carlos. Somebody needed to hear that right now. Your future, I don't care how hard it is or how hard it is right now, my friend, knowing that it's not going to equal your past unless you carry on the stories with you. Just believe in yourself a little bit more. Believe in yourself and know that amazing people, like every single person here, just been through some shit, and they just do this one device. Write this thing down. Take a screenshot. Stop doing shit you hate. This. And remind yourself, put in your freezer, put in your bathroom, put in your car, and just if a little kid could live the hood, after selling bread every day, making 50 cents a day for 11 years to come to America, you can do it, my friend. You can do it. Just believe in yourself a little bit more. And all right, I'm just grateful to be alive, Mo.
And Carlos, you set up the next speaker perfectly because, you came here from a part of the world to chase the American dream. And my friend who's going to speak next also had a similar experience. And she has such a powerful testimonial. She's doing so many incredible things to help stop bullying that happens in school. We'll talk about that later. But Ada, how touched are you? And I want you to talk about the similarities between your story and Carlos and share a little bit more about your journey and what that really has meant for you.
Carlos, first of all, how courageous and awesome of you to share your testimony with us and your story. You're absolutely right. Every time that we go feel sorry for ourselves, we can look to the side of us and there's somebody who's got it just a little bit worse. But we should definitely not give credit where it's due. That's a very powerful story that you just shared. So thank you so much for sharing that with the group. Mo, I came from Cuba, a little sassy, a little spicy, a little bit excited to join the American dream. And I was met with a little bit of a struggle when I first got here, with a lot of bullying and things that I went through in school, like most of us, except for unlike today, it's not plastered on our phone that we wake up to every morning, and it's not on the internet, and it's not permeating through the walls. So how I resonate with what he had to say is I think we've all been knocked down. You know better than anyone, for the first time in my career, 2019, I spent the whole year unemployed after having a trajectory for over a decade of promotions and lots of success. I found myself in a place where I wasn't being authentic anymore. I was seeking external validation and asking anybody that I could to give me an opportunity. And so when people see that desperation and that lack of faith and that lack of conviction in your own talent, it's so funny how you can go from questioning yourself to everyone else questioning you too. And so Mo met me at a seminar as well. Mo, we'll talk later about how many of these you've been going to.
Honestly, just
and
two.
He was doing the same
Honestly,
thing.
just two, and I made two friends. Okay.
Hey,
I'm not a seminar junkie for the record.
We were at a Givers Game seminar, and he was pissing off everybody in the seminar. So I decided to go make him my friend.
Well, Ada, thank you very much for being here. We'll see you next time.
Such a troublemaker.
But I've struggled the last year, and what I can shed light on is this. When you stop feeling sorry for yourself, when you stop having a little bit more faith, when you start having gratitude journals, when you start seeing yourself in a different light and manifesting that, whether it's through God or through your energy or through your board of directors, your friends, you become that. You just have to see it for yourself. So what you see in your mind's eye, you create. And so one of the biggest, most powerful things that you can do today, if you're in a place where you don't feel good about yourself, is to turn on the light, look in the mirror, and see yourself like you've never seen yourself before. Invite yourself to find something that you approve of, that you are happy with, that you're content with about who you are. Latch onto that and build on that. Because staying home, feeling sorry for yourself, calling Mo to cry isn't going to help you. Because what did you do when I called you to cry, Mo? Tell him.
I really don't want to get into it, but what we will do. No, you can always count on me, Ada, if you need a shoulder. I'm here for all my friends.
Yeah, but you turned it back on me because you knew I knew better.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I think that true friendship is when you tell somebody to take responsibility, right? I think that we as human beings have to make the decision: do we want to enable someone, or do we want to really play the role of being a jerk sometimes, but knowing that it's from a good place. And if anyone ever needs a jerk, they can always call me. I'll be there because it's it comes from a good place. And I think, Ada, I think you're referring to a conversation we had way back. And sometimes it takes time. Sometimes
And where are we today?
Absolutely.
Where we were.
Exactly. And sometimes it takes a year. Sometimes it takes 2 years. And you think, wow, that person really cared for me because they told me what I needed to hear and not what I wanted to hear. And I think as people that work, I know many people here in this call work in the personal development space. And one thing that we know in the personal development space is there's a lot of people who have made it their job to tell people what they want to hear as opposed to telling people what they need to hear. And I'm an advocate for individuals to tell others what it is that they feel in their heart that person needs to hear. So again, Ada, thank you for sharing your testimonial and your journey from Cuba to America. And I think that now more than ever, in our history, we really need to be reminded of how lucky we are to appreciate the freedoms of this country. But I digress from that. So let's continue this conversation. Natalie, what do you feel so far about this dialogue, and how can you continue the flow?
Well, I got a question, because I heard a couple of you say, or a bunch of you say, however I should phrase that you're focusing on turn on the light, which I think is so important. But I think, Carla, you mentioned something earlier as well that resonated with me, which is running away. And Ada, you mentioned that too, because I remember trying not to do it. And when I got the message, I was like hiding under a rock. I was like crying. I was like, hell no, over my dead body. So the step from to all of you, the step from this is what I do, this is making my living because we have to pay bills, to realizing, the step to realizing this really is my purpose is not what social media tells me, but this is me. How do you get there, as scary as it might be? Anybody?
I think it presents itself. I think that it presents itself as you align more with your truth and with the good feelings that guide you, the peace that's within you. I think it presents itself. I really do. I've seen it. I continue to see it. So that's why I'm saying this.
I was going to say, follow your intuition. For me, Natalie, I had to get quiet. And I had to get rid of the distraction, because I feel like we have compasses, those internal compasses. And if you're off 1 degree, you will end up thousands of miles away from where you're meant to be. So my 1 degree, let's be vulnerable, let's be honest, I would drink. I would completely use alcohol as my coping skill. And it wasn't until I realized, because I journaled all my life. I was like, I got that whisper. Carlos, you talked about whispers. I only got 2 in my life. It was stop drinking and don't buy that wine. Like, those were the 2 whispers that I got audible. And so I was like, and that was another thing, like, God just doesn't want me to have fun. Why can't I go out? Everybody else parties, everybody else does this. But for some reason, I was getting different consequences than everybody else. It didn't work for me. And I resisted that.
It wasn't aligned with you.
Yeah.
And when you're not aligned.
And I wanted to resist it so bad. And so I finally was ready. I was in so much pain until I was pushed up against the wall. And I was like, I committed to a year without drinking. It's been almost 2 now, and I'm done. I haven't. Thank you. And it was like the floodgates open. I think, Tina, you talked about, addiction and AA and all that kind of stuff. Like, miracles happen when you get the 1 degree out of your life, when you stop doing the one thing that you are putting the block between you and your calling. And for me personally, it was that. And once I let that go, the floods of everything that's been held for me in trust up in heaven came rushing down. It was a magical.
Carla, that's interesting that you say that, because you said a rush and coming down from heaven. All of it was divinely planned. And Brother Carlos, I see, was preaching earlier. Apologies for my technical difficulties. But it's interesting. I had a mentor say one time, what you're called to do is what you do well and effortlessly, and the path becomes clear for you. So although you had all of these stumbling blocks and all of these things that were kind of causing this tug of war, the path was there all along.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, all you had to do was get quiet, and there you go. I mean, that's just so powerful. I'm
Thank you.
enjoying listening to all of you and your courage as well.
Yeah.
For sure.
And sometimes it's so easy. You're
You know,
like,
I actually want to
it's
be
easy.
Yeah, Carla, exactly. Because when you do get quiet, your subconscious mind is always talking to you about what you're here for, what your purpose is, what your calling is. But as we are so keen to talk, we don't quiet it down to listen to what our subconscious mind is telling us about ourselves. And when you do that is when you are able to redirect your focus and really live that calling. Absolutely. And you get what you focus on. So the more you focus on safety, security, being in, it keeps you in that net. When you take a chance on yourself and you get out of your comfort zone and you stretch yourself, is when you not only grow, but you're able to live and pursue your passion, because you're only here once. So what do you want to be, a robot on this planet every single day? The same thing over and over again. And if you ever want nice things, I like nice things too, but if you're focused on security, there's one thing. If you want something nice, it comes down to the word save, right? You got to save. I got to save to go on vacation. I got to save for this. Or you can true out. If you want to live the life you live, you're in control of that, and not corporate America, not your boss.
Absolutely.
Something to keep in mind with what you just said, Jennifer, and I think, I don't know if anybody else can relate, especially as I was working my way up through my career. I became a victim to wanting to please people around me to earn what I thought was their respect. I thought I was earning. And so if somebody said that I needed more executive presence, I would dress a certain way the next time I saw them. If all of a sudden my energy was too much for the room, I would become more demure. If they needed me to tweak my approach when I did something, I did. And before I knew it, I became a puppet of everybody else's making and influence, and I lost me. And so something that I really hope to continue and that has helped shift my direction has been what resonates with me, what makes me happy. So what if I'm too loud and I have too much energy? Maybe this isn't the company that I need to be working for. And too often people think that people are doing us a favor because they selected us to be part of something. What about becoming so enamored, so hopeful, and so conviction oriented with who you are and what you believe in, that what you want attracts you, because you're living your life in that way. If you say that you're about helping people, what are you doing on the weekends to help them? What are you doing on the way to the supermarket? Are you doing that on the way to dropping off your kids? Are you living what you say that you are? If you do that, what I have found is, even if you find yourself in the most depressed year of your life, calling Mo, asking for him to help you, for him to only tell you to get over it, better look in the mirror. You better look in the mirror and find something you like. You stumble upon your dream, because I am literally in the middle of living my dream right now, a year later, by literally shutting out, like you said, Carla, everything else and going really within and finding out what resonates with you.
And that's the scariest thing.
It is. Yeah.
You do that.
And
you get
you
what
know,
you want.
What is so powerful too, I just want to be one second, honor every single one of you guys for being so vulnerable and to talk about this stuff, right? Because those demons, that crap that torment us, and those voices, as we just set us free. Like before I came in here today, I had one of my dreams. I used to listen to music when I was a kid to turn away from suicidal and anxiety and anger. And I had an honor today to interview Scott Page on my show that played for Pink Floyd. And, Scotty, he's very successful. He achieved so much in his life. And we were having a very profound conversation. And he was saying that the moment that I said, what is the happiest moment in your life, Scott? And he said, when I realized that I paused to start thinking about, how do I know that I am aware? And how do I know that I am aware that I am aware? By going one layer deep. And I was like, it's funny, because as you was talking about that, I was actually thinking about myself, because I always tell people, when is the last time that you start thinking about your own thinking? So what I want to challenge every single person here listening to us, I want you guys to make an exercise. Every day, put on your cell phone, a reminder for the rest of your entire life. And you ask yourself, how am I living? it's like, when is the last time that I challenged my own thinking? You know, because it's so important that you challenge your own thinking, because a lot of things out there that's been implanted on us over a lifetime by society, by social media, is evil stuff, is manipulation, is crap. And if you just, all you do is just be on the phone all day and watch commercials all day, guess what? This shit is implanted on you without you knowing.
It's brainwashing.
Self the gift to challenge your own thinking. Think about your own thinking, and then to complement, as you ask yourself that on your cell phone, you put the reminder, add one more thing that's gonna set your soul for free, and you put it this right here. Stop giving a fuck what other people think. Just you know, do things. Challenge your thinking, challenge your thinking, and do that. You set yourself for free. Your soul will be free. You'll be on fire. You don't care if you're fat. You don't care if you don't have the makeup. You don't care if you're not making some money. You don't care if they don't invite you to the show or podcast or stage. Screw them. What the people, all the people's opinion is none of our business. So I just want to honor every single one of you here for playing full out, because I love this, man. I got to get every single one of you on my show. You know, I'm telling you, I love you guys. You guys are my sisters from another mother.
You know, Carlos, to piggyback off of what Carlos, you're absolutely right, though. People around you are as your own self. If you tell people what you believe your calling is or what brings you happiness, if they don't support you 1,000%, they shouldn't be in your circle, because your people in your circle should want to see you win and to see you outshine.
Yes.
True. And we're all connected. It's all connected. I think society has taught us that we have to place things in boxes, into these little silos, and figure out where this thing goes or that thing or the other. And as Jennifer said earlier about the subconscious, that lies dormant underneath, and it always reigns supreme. So we don't have to find out where to put things. It's all connected, and it's all as one. And as long as we lead with love, we're leading the right way and heading in the right direction for sure.
Yeah. And
Agreed.
it's about paradigms, how like Carlos said, between the ages, I know you ladies are into psychology. I mean, we've studied it. Between the ages of 0 and 8, that's when the foundation's laid. Talk about, like, picture a cement truck laying the foundation. When you get 8 years old, it dries. So whatever's in there, you can have, you know, crap sideways. It could look really bad foundation. Some people's are nice and smooth. Some people's are, what the hell happened over there? Did they have a permit for that? It's like messed up. So then what we got to do is go back in. Maybe some people got to sweep up, fill some gaps, take a jackhammer and relay the whole damn foundation.
Yeah, and explode it.
Yeah, put a bomb to it, rebuild it.
That's what me and Carlos needed to do.
It's environment. It's environment. It's paradigm. So you have to shift and like you said, think about what you believe. Like for me personally, like with the drinking, it's like, as the sky is blue, you don't go to a wedding or a family gathering without alcohol. What the hell am I going to drink on the beach? Like,
Yeah.
There's no world. Life doesn't exist without it. And so that's what I truly believe, because that's what I was raised through commercials, through just society. But you don't know there's another way until you go inside and discover it.
That's interesting. You speak about foundation, Carla. I grew up
You
in
know,
a foster
and I think
and there was no foundation that I had for myself. There was no mom and dad to come home to that was supportive. There was nobody. I went through about 5 different foster homes, which is pretty a small number compared to a lot of stories that I have encountered. And so for those of us who did not have any sort of anything but chaos to come home to, it embedded within me to find some kind of foundation within myself. And I have seen drug abuse. I have seen, I've seen a lot, you know, the shooting that you talk about, Carlos. It's like, I've had stories as well as that. And not the easiest childhood by any means. But like I said, that sent me on a path of looking at families that I wanted to have that kind of a feel at home, and trying to find that situation, you know, as I continued on through life and would meet people. It's like, oh, I like that. take that within me and that resonates with me, or no, that isn't anything I want to be a part of. So, eliminate that. And it's like just putting your blinders on and knowing who you are, being true to yourself. Does this feel good to me? Yes, this feels good. I'll take that and keep it with me and keep going forward. And it seems like at the times in life where I have allowed that guidance to really be strong is when the people come, for assistance, people come for help. That's why I say it's like the more you are aligned with your heart center, with who you are and solid inside, you're going to get people. Your calling is going to keep coming at you. So yeah, a little bit of my backstory. I did not have any foundation whatsoever to pull from, to launch from a home. I created that as I've been going through life.
Amazing. And I want to, if I may, Carlos, I want to bring up a question from actually some of the participants from the engagement, which I think is a very good one, since everybody here is sort of involved in helping others, right? We help ourselves and then we try and pass on our knowledge. So I hope I'm not mispronouncing her name, but Chessie was asking, how do you balance your own well-being versus your calling to help others? Because very often we forget about ourselves, right? It's like that, I don't know, that martyr syndrome, or a lot of nurses and people in the medical profession, they take care of everybody else and can't take care of themselves. What would your answer be to that?
Boundaries.
Absolutely.
Help.
And being a people pleaser, you've got to learn boundaries. You have to.
Good fences make good neighbors. Believe it or not, saying no, which used to be my least favorite thing to do, because I thought I was hurting people, has actually been something that has really helped change the direction of where my trajectory is going in the last year. And I'm not mean about it. If it doesn't resonate with me and I can't add value to it, or it doesn't add value to me, I just politely decline it, or I'll recommend somebody else to it. So protecting your boundaries.
Yeah.
I miss.
You gotta know how to say.
Jennifer?
Oh my God, Carlos, you have a button or a sign?
Maybe
for
I
everything?
misunderstood.
Say, just says no.
Don't let me get with the shit.
No, is he?
or with other people's bullshit, other people's agenda, other people's opinion. That's what it comes down to. You gotta master how to say no. So I'm a character, because that's what you gotta do. And then when I'm not listening to my own shit, right? Then you know what I do? I go, wait a minute. Yep, that's a little whistle. And I give myself a yellow card. And that's what we have to do as humans. We have to know how to say no. Let's say if somebody invites you to speak at an event or to a podcast, but you know that you have all these other priorities. You told your spouse, like, I would never be married for 15 years if I wouldn't set boundaries. I would never be able to raise my daughter to be like how I am if I wouldn't have those boundaries to go, okay, no, this is time with my daughter. This is time with my spouse. This is time for martial arts. This is time to work out. You have to know how to say no, because that will set you free. So I love it. It comes down. That's what it comes down to, is those boundaries, and then designing your life. How do you want it to live? Reverse engineer it. God forbid we die tomorrow. How are we living? That's what I told everybody earlier. Just write it down, journal. How am I living? That's what it comes down to. Are you living the life on your terms? And if you're not, just do something. Like I said earlier on the sign, stop doing shit that you hate. Stop giving a damn.
I love that.
Like at the beginning, back in the day of my early career, I didn't use buttons, and I wouldn't do signs, and I wouldn't cuss, because I would think about it, like all the shit that we think. What are they gonna say? If I talk about Jesus or the Holy Spirit, they're gonna stop following me. And then until one day I had this, it's like who cares? Who cares? Because you don't want people like that anyway. Just speak your truth. Be free. If I die tomorrow, I'm happy as hell.
Not everybody's going to like you, no matter what you do. If you try to please everybody, no one's going to like you.
Amen.
And sometimes saying
I
no
can attest
to
to that.
others means we're saying yes to ourselves.
Boom.
Sometimes you have to say no in order to put yourself first, and that's not a crime.
Don't you find that when you respect yourself, other people respect you as well?
Absolutely.
And don't overestimate yourself in the sense of, I got called out by a therapist one time. I was like, but she goes, what makes you think that's your job? What makes you think that's your business? I'm like, ooh, you're right. Like, what made me think I'm supposed to it's not my responsibility to change anybody or to, if they want to come and ask for help, people can only change themselves. I'm only responsible for myself. And if I am a perfect example, that is, you don't want to.
The caveat is the right people, because the right people hear you differently. So if there is someone that, because you put up a boundary, is not feeling it, doesn't want to be a part of your circle, then they're not supposed to be there.
Yeah. Right on.
As we're always for everything you say yes to, you're saying no to something else. So always remember that every time you say yes, you have to say no to something else, because we only have so many hours in a day. Maybe I misunderstood her question, but the way I read her question also has to do with things I was told as a child. Is I felt she was asking, how do you control your well-being, as in your way of life, the way you live, to pursuing your calling? So how do you, when you've got something has to give, so if you've got your job, how do you leave corporate America or whatever your career is to pursue your calling? That's what I thought she was saying, is about your well-being versus your calling. So maybe I was wrong, but in that case, I don't think you should ever leave your full-time secure, if that's paying you money and you're paying your bills, you should never leave that just to pursue your calling. But because that's just irresponsible.
Selfish,
But you can do it on the side. Right. You can do it on the side. It's kind of becomes a side hustle, and you're passionate about it and you truly believe it's your calling, then you'll make it work within your full-time job. When I was working full-time and then coming home and making videos, hopping on coaching calls and doing all of that. And I loved it. So you've got to find the balance. The key word here is balance.
I'm going to be a little controversial.
Until you're able to fully transition to
I'm going to be a little controversial here, Jennifer. What else is new? I think that I would have to disagree with you, because here's what my conviction is, Jennifer. If you are not doing what your purpose is, if you're not doing what you're here to do, it's disrespectful to your creator. Because you were put here to do something very specific, and even modern research and science is now proving the things that mystics and people since time immemorial and shaman have been saying. In fact, Howard Gardner from Harvard University did exhaustive research and found that every single person is a genius in at least one thing in life. So what is your genius? What is it that when you act, you're in the flow state, right? We all talk about the flow state. We all talk about that sense that you're doing what you're here to do. What is your purpose? And hey, that might be basket weaving. If that's basket weaving, then that's what you're here to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yes.
Mo, I was going to say, to defend Jennifer, I think she was saying is, you're right. You're both right. But I think she was saying is, until you get to the place where you can only do your calling, you got to keep the lights on.
So Carla,
you do that. Also being aware of what your calling might be. I mean, you got to open your eyes.
I'm a full-time single mom. Somebody's got to support.
Here's something I want to
I have to do my calling if I'm living in the car with my daughter. Then I'm depriving the world of my message. So as long as I can afford to keep the internet on, we're good.
We're going to call Mo. He's going to coach you. Okay, so listen. Everybody's freaking right. God damn it. Sorry. But here's the thing. It's about knowing you and what makes you tick. Because your calling, like I said, wherever you go, there you are. You could be at freaking McDonald's. And if you're supposed to be funny as shit and cute and people vibe with you, somebody will record you doing some goofy shit and you're going to go viral. Or you could be shining a shoe, and you may be shining the shoe of the person who's signing your next $100,000 check because they find out that really you're an artist and you have a painting at home. If you live and breathe who you are, you will end up where you're going to be. I have a story to share with you guys. One of my dearest friends started out in weddings. That was my first career. I was doing weddings in Las Vegas with Elvis and everything you can imagine. And her and I have had, swear to God, the most crazy wedding experiences ever happened. And she stayed in weddings for 10 years, but she was not a wedding person. On the weekends, she would cook and she would videotape, do videos and recipes. And she had this little IG website that she would put her cooking recipes on. When COVID happened, she started working from home, had to lose 20% of her salary, was really depressed, and she started making these really awesome charcuterie boards and taking pictures of it. Please tell me why she's been doing this for less than 3 months, and the Vegas Golden Knights stumbled upon her page, and she just hosted all of their parties. She's got 400 trays ordered for November. The girl's got 2,000 followers on Instagram over a freaking 3 months, and she's freaking taken off. I call her a salami slanger. I call her selling salami because she didn't give up on her fucking dream.
Yeah.
Sorry, man, I like to cuss.
Persistence.
I get a little Cuban. So that's what happened. Me, I'm working for my freaking dream lady who 10 years ago, when I was selling timeshare, don't judge me, this lady named Sherry Leviton, I'm giving you a plug, Sherry, hopefully she gets to see this, taught me everything I know, okay? Everything I know I learned from this class that she didn't even know got to me because she never met me. She gave the company this class. Fast forward 10 years, I'm now a content creator, a business developer, and a guest experience director in her company, learning from my superhero, from who I want to be in the next 2, 3, 5 years. And I ended up there because Mo told me to get over myself, to stop feeling sorry for myself, and to go in the mirror and look for my light. And it took me a year, but thank you, Mo.
Of course, you would do the same for me. And I see Lene was really animated when you were talking. I just want her to give her the floor. Go ahead, Lene.
I think that we all have had our Mo moments, which is what collectively brings us here, including Carlos. But I'm wondering if Carlos had a Mo moment or if Mo had a Carlos moment. I'm still trying to figure that one out.
We did, Lene. We almost got in a fight in a pizza shop 2 weeks ago.
With each other?
He was visiting. He was visiting my city.
I thought we were not going to share that story.
No, we're not going to share the story. But what I will say is he was visiting my city on a book tour, and we had lunch, and him and I almost got in a fight with someone else. So it happens, but nonetheless, I digress from that. That's next week, ladies and gentlemen. Monday, 7 o'clock. We're going to tell you what happened.
We're leading with love. I did want to circle back to what Ada just said, because she was saying that Mo advised her, but she still followed suit and followed her own path. So Ada, something that Mo said had to resonate with you and tap into something that you were feeling to help you propel forward. So also we have to follow suit as well, because we can have all the mentors in the world and still not listen or still not take the steps forward. So you still put one foot in front of the other and kept on walking. So that's what matters as well.
And Lene, you cannot experience anything outside of yourself anyways, right? So as humbled as I am that people have something sweet to say, I know deep down that it's not me, because no one can see or experience or hear anything that's not within themselves already. In fact, if you look at that word guru, and everyone right now, you know, if you go online, half the people on your feed are gurus. G-U-R-U, right? G, you are you. You're the ultimate guru, and you're the only guru that there ever will be, right? And so, again,
trademark.
You can say it like a gangster. G, you are you.
Right? Absolutely. So you can't experience something outside of yourself, right? And you know, that's why, although it's humbling, although we like to hear nice things from other people, I don't get caught up in any of it, because I know ultimately it's only inside the other person. That spirit is already within the other person. Now, sometimes if we can assist each other and guide each other home and help lead each other to that space within themselves that already exists, there's nothing more rewarding. There's nothing more fulfilling than being able to guide. But other than being able to guide, you can't open the door. That's the most that we can do for each other. The great Ram Dass has a fantastic quote: we're all just walking each other home, right? And that's what we're all here to truly do. Walk each other home. Walk each other to that place that already exists, that's already there, that no one else can give you and no one else can ever take away from you, right?
Mo, you're so
That's
nice.
right. That's
No,
right. And
that's
like Linda
what,
said,
humility. If you want to if you want to be successful, we need to be humble. We need humility. And that's one thing. It goes back to attitude. Like, I don't know, Jennifer, Ada, you were saying, you know, if you work at McDonald's and you get, you know, go viral, it's like, you have to have the only difference between
Attitude, be yourself. Yeah.
is your attitude. Yes. Attitude is altitude, man. That's the truth. If you have a bad attitude and you have all the gifts in the world and you got your calling and you got a bad attitude, you're going nowhere fast, you know?
Yeah.
And that's, humility and respect your calling, because we're conduits. We're vessels, you know, we're the lamp, we're not the light. We're the faucet, we're not the water. So respect your calling, because it's a gift, not just to you, but to the world. And you have a responsibility. You know what I mean? You're not hot shit. You're not. It's not from you, honey. You know, so we got to get humble up.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it took a lot of humbling. I had to have a lot of humble pie shoved in this face before I could have this gift given to me, you know?
Although, Carla, I
You know,
will say you can be awesome and dope and humble at the same time, because I will
Yes.
say that I've seen a few people who are amazing shrink simply because they were afraid of people saying, well, you think you're this or that, and ego, because basically it's about ego at some point. Bad. And then I was going to say earlier, but I think most stole my thunder with that Ram Dass beautiful quote. Like Glenda said, you know, to Dorothy, you had the power all along, my dear, when she got the slippers, the ruby slippers.
I think the distinction, Lene, I think the distinction here
You know-
is that those that you're talking about that are dope, that have the confidence, they are feeling that way because of the faith, not because of the ego. Right?
Oh, yeah. I didn't mean humble like meek and humble like hide me. I meant like a humble spirit.
Like be open
Absolutely.
to the
Yeah.
message.
Yeah.
There's a fine line I found, though. There's a fine line, because I think ultimately most humans, because we're having this human experience, most humans do want the best, at least those of us that want to help and all of that. I just think there's a fine line. So just wanted to, I
get what you're saying. Absolutely. No, because you're right. Because humble has been associated with poverty, and poverty is virtuous in some people's mind. It ain't virtuous to be. God wants us to have all the glory and all the riches and everything in the mansions. Hello, many mansions does my father have? Thank you very much.
Yeah,
that's not being humble.
I agree.
I'm gonna be a millionaire. I'll be humble AF. And a millionaire.
And a lot of that comes from this misconception culturally, especially in the Western world. There's this idea that the Bible says the root of all money, or money is the root of all evil. Well, if you actually look at the original translation, it says the love of money, the lust of money. Actually, you're right, Carla. If you look at the Aramaic, the version from several thousand years ago, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, it does say the lust of money. Not money is the root of all evil. In fact, I think that it was Malcolm X who said that poverty is much more evil than being rich. Right? In fact, what kind of opportunity costs are you creating for those that you love and care about if you're not financially stable? What kind of opportunity costs are there for your community if you're not financially stable? Carlos and I were talking about projects that he's doing that he doesn't talk about. He never, even though he's a public figure, he does not talk about how much he's doing for the community he grew up in, where he was making 50 cents a day as a boy, and what he's doing for those children that today are in those positions that he was in. And I know, he doesn't like talking about it because he doesn't do it for the glory. He does it because the heart is telling him to do it, because he knows it's the right thing to do. He knows, and Tina doing the same thing with all the work that you're doing for foster children today, because you were once in those shoes, right? And this is an example of how you can turn that pain into power, the difference between a career and a calling, right? Passion and purpose. And Jennifer, I see you smiling, and I just want to say ahead of time, whatever you say, I'm going to disagree with. So go ahead.
I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that. This is me and Mo's relationship here. No, it goes down to what Carlos said. Your test is your biggest testimony. I firmly believe that every challenge, every obstacle that you go through in this life is not to knock you down, but it's to lead you closer to your purpose, to lead you closer to your calling. Back then I knew that I wanted to help people, didn't know about what. I just wanted to leave my imprint. I wanted to transform lives. And you see this face here. But if you knew my story, if you follow me and you knew my story, the things I've been through, nobody would believe me if I told you everything that I've been through. But it's what led me to my purpose. It's what led me to my true calling, is to help people. Because if I could fall off the rails, if I could, hit rock bottom, so could anyone else. But you can choose to be a victim of your circumstances, a victim of your challenges, or you can choose to use that to empower people to not do the same. And I agree, the more money you make, the more you're able to impact lives, the more you're able to do more good and give and donate your time back to helping those that are less fortunate, to helping those that today's youth. I love to go into schools and to talk to high schools and to let them understand that the choices you make today don't just stay today. They follow you 10 years from now, 20 years from now. But, a message to women too is that most women, like you were saying, Carla, about your ego, or I'm sorry, not about your ego, but about humbling yourself, is women are so quick to take humbling to a whole nother level that they don't talk about themselves
that
enough.
Lene brought that up. You're right. Yes. It's been misconstrued in the wrong
I'm not good
way.
enough. I hear that all the time. I'm not worthy. But it's very true, though, is that most women are so humble to the fact that they don't believe that they have a greater calling. They don't believe that they can go out and pursue that because of all the self-limitations that women tend to put on themselves, and believing that they are not as qualified, that they are not as good, that there's that glass ceiling that they put in their own life. I hear that all the time from clients when they start working with them, is that they don't believe that they can pursue their calling, and that's got to change.
That's so true, Jennifer. You know what I mean? It's such a great point, because especially in some other, I speak different languages and I travel the world and I go to villages, and I always love when I get kids out of the street into entrepreneurship. And when I see their moms and their sisters, they have this cultural shit, right? That they not enough, they woman, they got to stay home, they got to clean. But like, who the fuck just like, what do you like, just when is the last time that you just question this shit? Like where it comes from? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, who been implanting this shit on you? No, you can't get out of the village. You can't pick up the phone and go live. You can't say what you feel like, because that mask right now, those evil voices, that shit will set you free. They'll get you out of the village because somebody out there is going to relate to you, and they're going to see that you were not on the village that got blown up or burned down and you got raped and this and that. But because you talk about it and you believe in yourself that, you know what? Yeah, I can go to school. Yeah, like Malala Yousafzai, she have amazing stories. She fight against the Taliban and so many stories. Rosa Parks, you got to become unreasonable. That's what I tell women out there in other worlds from other cultures. Don't go against the culture. Counter the norm. Become unreasonable. Say, I'm not going to leave the damn front seat, baby. Good luck getting me out of here. That's what Rosa did. That's what Malala did. Oh, yeah, you shot me on the head? I will survive, damn it. And you became unreasonable. And that's what they need. But they got to become unreasonable and literally go through it. Because at the end of the day, man, I always talk about this. It's between you and God. And God would never put none of us through anything if he doesn't think we can handle it. He'll never. Never, never. So I just love how we have, this is profound. I'm telling you, Mo, we're going to sell it to Netflix.
Excuse me, please. You cannot say that word on this program, Carlos. No. We want to thank Amazon.
Look at all
Carlos,
the big changes.
There's one thing you can't say on the program, and you said it, okay?
You said it twice.
Okay,
we love Amazon.
Okay, Amazon. Just joking. Sorry. No, I am. I'm telling you, this is anointed, brother. This can do a documentary. I'm telling you, this is powerful, ladies. I'm telling you.
Absolutely. And as we go into the final 20, 30 minutes, 26 minutes actually of this program, and we wrap up the final third of this, I want us to really go to the final thoughts that this incredible panel has on this distinction between how to live a calling and not a career. Because going back to that Gallup poll where over 70% of Americans are dissatisfied, disengaged, and downright miserable with what they do for a living, well, the solution to that problem is to live your calling. Because what everyone here knows is that when you live your calling, you don't have the time or interest to be miserable because you're too busy living your calling, right? You don't have not saying it won't be hard, but that's a whole different conversation, right? Not saying there won't be pain, but that's a whole different conversation. But you'll be fulfillment, peace of mind. These things come when you live your purpose and when you live your calling. So in conclusion, I want us to wrap up the final 20, 30 minutes with some final thoughts and really go into a deep conversation about this. Tina, you've been quiet for quite some time. I know that, Tina's a very soft-spoken poet. I mean, look, Tina's a poet. What we know about people who write poetry is they tend to be very soft-spoken, So I feel like if I don't give you the floor, Tina.
Thanks, Mo. All right. Yes, I am a soft-spoken poet. I have journaled for the majority of my life. That was my therapy. So I've been in and out of talk therapy. I've done a lot of work on myself from my childhood, trying to figure out how do I make it on this planet and be a productive human and overcome the stigma of labels and things that I had put upon me as a child. So I just think that really listening to yourself, I think figuring out ways of healing the pain within, whether that be through expressing yourself through written word, through singing, through music, through whatever kind of creative outlet you can connect to. I think that's so important to have some kind of a creative outlet because we're all given that gift, I believe, within us, but we're told, oh, that's stupid. Don't, you need to go study your chemistry, don't be over there with that. That's dumb. That'll get you nowhere. But I do believe a child knows, intuitively what they're drawn to. And we lose touch with that as we become adults. And I think some of that going into your calling is to get back in touch with that inner child. And what did you used to like to do? What did you used to set your soul free and you didn't have to think about it so hard? It's like, what lights you up? That's the fucking thing. What lights you up, And that's where we lose touch. You just see this, this veil come over you, going to your job, going to this. It's like robotic movement through your day and your soul's not lit up. So that's the question. What lights your soul up? What lights you up? What puts that fire under you? What makes you feel alive? Because there's got to be something that makes you feel alive. And you know what it is. We just got to listen to it and act on it. Impulse, act. And I think it leads you to where you need to be. I know that seems to be what's happening for me in my life. And I didn't listen to it for many years, listen to what other people thought I should be or what I should be doing or whatever. And it's not the way. You got to listen to your heart.
Yeah. I'll add to that. I think that we are all born, these are my final thoughts, born with seeds, a blueprint, DNA, like the acorn. We were meant to grow and always expand, always grow. And when we're not, we implode. We literally implode. If you do not express, if you suppress, that leads to, anxiety, fear. You suppress, it leads to depression. It leads to like discord and dis-ease, and it will show up in some way in your life. So I would say, answer that call. Don't be afraid. Always learn something new. You are taken care of. You are important. You are essential. Everything in nature has a place on this earth. And so do you. So
well, Carla, Anthony Fauci might disagree with you.
Ay, Dios mío. Why you gotta bring this up? It's such a nice conversation.
Okay, let me take my jacket.
So who's next in the Brady Bunch? Is
Carlos.
it me or you, Carlos? Are we gonna duel it out, Carlos? The battle of the loud Hispanics.
I'm gonna take my jacket off. I'll put the flag, better because I'm getting hot.
Okay. You go first, Carlos.
Not less.
Okay. So then for me, guys, whatever you're going to do today that you want to be different tomorrow requires a different you and a different set of actions. I encourage you to bring your GPS, your God and goals, your passion and your purpose and your self-discipline and your self-belief to new forefront. I encourage you to surround yourself with believers and fans of who you are and who you're becoming, because your circle of trust is going to be just as important as you embark on this new journey as anything else. And I encourage you to challenge yourself daily to not only meta think, which is what Carlos was alluding to earlier, which is where you think about your thoughts, but think about your thoughts in relation to your actions and how they correlate, and get really centered as to who brings out the best you. When you're feeling the baddest, the on top of the world, who are you with? What are you doing? Who are you talking to? Do more of that. That's what I leave you with.
That's beautiful. Amen, sister. Amen, hermana. You see, that's what I'm talking about right there.
All right,
That's
I'll go next.
there. All right, who's next? Ladies
Okay, I'll
first.
go
Remember, I was raised by a woman, so I cannot,
Me. No, listen, if you do not wake up every morning super excited to rock your day, super excited for your life, then you are not living your calling. It's that simple. You know, I grew up, I'm the very first of a long list of family. I'm the very first entrepreneur in my family that encouraged my mom to leave corporate America after over 40 years to join our company. And listen, growing up, I watched my parents go to work every single day like clockwork, miserable, not enjoying what they were doing every single day, and just living the same life every day on repeat, and having no time to, you know, smell the flowers, to enjoy, to laugh, to live the life. You only have one life to live. So make this your best life and get out there. You have a message there. If you've ever been and overcame anything, actually very true. If you can go back and remember what you wanted to be when you were 6 to 7 years old, that's most likely what your real calling is. You know, I wanted to be a teacher. My dad told me I better marry somebody rich because teachers are broke. And I was like, oh, well, I don't want to be broke and I don't want to be a housewife. And now, like my daughter just pointed out, I am a teacher. I'm just a different teacher. So, you know, get out there. And if you are not excited to live your life, then get excited and get out there and do what makes you happy.
Amen.
I disagree, Jennifer.
I know you do.
Lene.
Me?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Since Carlos has definitely claimed last, I wanted to just say, leave everyone with a couple of things. One, talents plus your service to the world is your purpose. Gifts and passion are your purpose. The combination, again, we don't have to separate things into little silos, into little boxes. As Tina has said, she's turned her pain into her service. Carla, same thing, celebrating sobriety. Congratulations again, my sister. Ada, you and your courage. And Jennifer, your light shines so bright. Carlos, there's just no words to describe how amazing you are. So I'll just say this. We have to keep walking forward, even when we want to stop. For me, as Mo said earlier, I was one of the first captains for an NFL team, on the very first team, and was a dancer. As Jennifer said, my bachelor's degree is in dance. I danced since I was 2 years old. That was my passion. But then that was taken away from me when I was diagnosed with a condition and paralyzed in my early 20s. And didn't know if I would walk again. So I called myself being healed to move, and then in turn helping others heal to move. And so then my passion of using body-oriented psychotherapy and healing all of the trauma, as Carla says, movement is medicine, getting that energy out of you or will implode. That is definitely what I believe is my passion. And then using it to serve the world includes the purpose. So I just leave that with everyone. We all have something to give. That's why we're here.
Amen.
Amen.
Brother Carlos.
Man, what can you say after that? That was just so profound and beautiful, man. All of you, every single one of you guys here, man, just an amazing. I'm telling you, we're gonna have to call Jeff now from Amazon. Like, okay, brother, we're going to Netflix if you don't.
Hey, hey, you got me excited, man. I thought you were gonna say something good.
Hey,
Right.
you want a troublemaker? And I'm hanging out with you too much. So that's what happened. You know, you become who you're hanging around with. But you know what? Thinking about that, you're becoming what you're hanging around with. I really want to challenge everybody at home to think about this. Because if you look at your cell phone right now, look at the last 5 people that text you, the last 5 people that called you, the last 5 episodes that you watch, the media that you consumed. If you think about it, right, what have those 5 things and those 5 people they done to you? You know what I mean? Did they add more fire to your bonfire and you guys having a party? Or did they just piss on it? I want you guys to really have a real moment of truth and think about it, because every time, straight up, Mo, every time in my life, when I surround myself, even when I was coming up and I would surround myself, when I was like, oh, now I'm becoming good and I'm good. I'm doing good at sales and I'm training all these teams and corporations. And I am like, my shit doesn't stink. And guess what, my friend? As fast that God give it to you, he takes it away. When you think that you're too cool for school and you forget to pray and you forget to go back where you're coming from,
Humility.
For real. So I really want you guys to think about it, who you hanging around with, because that's so important to think about this. And because it all goes back to what my grandma used to tell me. The best advice I ever got in the whole entire planet was from a housekeeper. And my grandma used to clean houses for professors. And she always say, son, every single day, son, just increase your knowledge and your wisdom and just become that person of value. Just love people, respect people, treat them how you want it to be treated. And I guarantee, son, you're never going to go hungry. You're always going to have a house open with their arms right open to give you a hug and to give you a sofa. They will give you their bed to sleep, because you treat every single person like you treat your grandma, assuming you like your grandma, but remind yourself, that love at the end, this is the deal. At the end, love is all that is. It's all that will always ever be. Nothing can fight off. No evil and no political party, not the color of your skin, not the body that you come from, no your job, nothing. Nothing can fight this. If you operate from a place of love, I come from the hood. I've been on both sides. I know the hood. I know the ghetto. I know Silicon Valley. Trust me. But if you operate from here, from the heart, not from the head, because in the head, you're straight up dead. And you just listen, guys. Go back to the show. Listen, and listen. And comment below and tell Amazon you wanted this to become a movie and a documentary. And we're staying here. We will not go to the other guy. But, just believing in yourself. And remind yourself that life is about contribution. It's never about acquisition. You don't have to wait until you become and you make some money to become a philanthropist. You can do philanthropy right now. You can go right now with your kids, with your friends. The other day, my daughter came up with this great idea. We went to say, Daddy, let's recycle. And instead of throwing it, we're going to hold on to the recycle. And then we're going to challenge other people to recycle for 1 month. And then they donate their money to go help some kids out of hunger. I'm like, let's do it, Isabella. And then we pull out the phone. We went to this ghetto place in the hood, or the recycle place. We went to the worst out of the worst. I didn't tell my wife that we were going to go there. And then Isabella and I, now I have the deck of my big old truck, and I have my phone, and I'm like, it's about to go down. And then she goes, is Isabella Cicada and Carlos Cicada in the house? And now we're doing our thing. She's 9 years old. You guys think I'm too much. Oh, wait, did you see her? And then, but you see, those are the things that makes you the happiest. It's us going there, getting $40 worth of cans, and then donating to this other lady that was so poor they were there. Or when you go, you take your kids, go find a homeless on the street, ask that person, hey, what would you like to eat? And then let's say if it's nearby McDonald's, nearby, Cheesecake Factory, and you tell them, what would you like from that place if you could order anything? That makes me the happiest when my daughter say, Daddy, I found one. When she finds a homeless, because now she knows that we're going to do that, and you're going to evoke all these feelings. And that, guys, I would not trade $1 million days from the stage, speaking at the Oscars, all these celebrities, all this bullshit, all these corporations that I have helped in the past. None of that matters. What makes me happy? You see my daughter seeing that. You seeing a kid walking to my farm to grab some food with their families and grab whatever they want. That's what makes me the happiest. That's what keeps me pushing. That's seeing those kids send you a message. Hey, brother, thank you for that live. Thank you for that written. Thank you for that blog. I'm alive today because you wrote it. You did never forget where you came from. You keep going back because you know it, baby. The days that break you are the days that make you. You feel me? And that's the spirit. Let's all go out there, beautiful people, and let's go make this world a better place, man. Just let's rock and roll. Woo! And we're gonna be on Amazon Fire.
So, Natalie, do you have anything to say before we ask everyone one final important question to wrap everything up?
I think everybody was hinting at the one thing that Carlos so nicely put together with the heart, right? It's all about love, and it starts with self-love. And Carlos, I cannot support you more in what you said about your child, because my daughter and I, we volunteer all the time, and it's crucial that we show our kids how to do it. How we show our kids, that they're worth it, that even though they don't have a degree, they're worth it. And that transfers back to us. So I think it really all goes, and I heard everybody say that, love yourself, figure out what you love, figure out who you are, and then love on others. But first you got to love on yourself. And I think that's really, really one of the most important messages when we're talking about calling versus career.
And you can't give what you don't have, right? Going back to that idea that you simply cannot give what you do not have. How can you give love if you don't have love? How can you give abundance if you don't have abundance? How can you give money if you don't have money? What Carla and I were talking about earlier. And so in conclusion, I want everyone now to share a little bit more about where people can find you. But before you get into that, I want everyone here to say and declare, what is your calling? Because we've been talking about it now for almost 90 minutes, but I want to hear everyone tell the world, and don't say it, but declare it, define it. Let the universe know, let our friends on Amazon know, and let each other here know, what is your calling? Go ahead, Tina, starting with you, and then we'll go to Carla. Tina.
Path of service is a light worker, radiating that light out from within, the heart center, love, kindness, and just uplifting at all places possible. Definitely.
And where can people find your book, Tina, which, by the way, I have a copy of?
TinaThurston.com is my
Incredible.
story. And yes, that's where you can find it.
Thank you so much, Tina. And I highly recommend her book of poetry. I happen to have a signed copy, and it's really powerful poetry. So I will put a link to it after the fact for people that are interested in purchasing. Carla, what is your calling?
I just grabbed to have it on my desk. I read it every day. I want to bring joy, happiness, and healing to the minds and hearts of people all around the world.
Yes, queen.
Yeah. And people can find me. I am new. This is a part of my this is all very new to me. Like I said, I was never on social media, you guys. I was the one that got away. I never had Facebook. I never had Instagram. I am brand spanking new. I was away from a lot of stuff for a lot of my life, thanks to not having it. But I realized that it was a tool now, that I switched my perspective of seeing it as the tool that it is, and that I was ready for it, and that I answered that call, and that it is a tool now for me to use to spread the word and get to know people like you, Mo. Like you found me on Insta. We found each other on Instagram. This is so wonderful. I would have never met any of you people. This is wonderful. So at Inside Talk Show, I just started it about almost 2 months now. So it's growing. So at Inside Talk Show on Instagram, you can find me there.
Awesome. Lene, what is your calling?
My calling is to champion and teach that movement truly is medicine. We must move the body and work through anything that we have built up inside. And I believe that I am truly healed to move and to help others see that and do that as well. And I can be reached at holisticperformancecenter.com. I also have a podcast called The Mindful Business Renegades, and we air on Monday mornings. And hopefully, shout out to Amazon Fire TV. Soon we'll have some kind of programming here with the Los Angeles Tribune. And I'm also a columnist for the Los Angeles Tribune.
Awesome. Carlos.
Yes, sir. Man, I'm just so excited to be here. I call myself, I'm one of the apostles slash Avengers for my non-religious brothers. So I get both of the little modes. No, but I am, as I get older, man, I see myself as a movement maker. And then one thing that I always say, my hashtag is make poverty history. And I just love people. And I love helping people getting their message out. And I love, going back to what I come from and giving everybody a chance. Nothing makes me more happy to see, kids coming out of the street from becoming violent to becoming entrepreneurships. Nothing makes me not happy seeing people that struggle. They are in debt right now and throwing money after bad advice. And they truly believe in themselves and they find their message and they follow my advice and they go day in, day out. How long are you willing to go without a paycheck? Like a farmer, I don't know what my hat is, my farmer hat. I have all these crazy toys. You guys know me now, and how, it's like the farmer, he works a whole year for one paycheck. So I want to challenge you guys, if you are doing what you love, how long are you willing to go without a paycheck? And if you want to do what you love and you do those little mini entrepreneurial, mini philanthropics things throughout the day, like don't wait for you to make money, just go fill it up somebody's gas, go McDonald's, buy 10 double cheeseburgers and give to people around with your kids and your friends. Those are the little things, man, that makes us happy. Always reframe whatever you're going through, that know that somebody out there has worse than you. And you never know, man. You just never know when somebody's going to invite you to interview you on your show, on your podcast, and will give you a chance. You be that person that adds more value to others than anybody else. Always give more than what you take. And you do that, my friends, that's when the magic happens, because life is about the contribution, never the acquisition. And always we're going to be about the mission, never the commission. We come here with nothing, we'll live without nothing, baby. Incredible. And you guys can find me on Instagram. I'm always there at Carlos Inspire. I'm spending a lot of time on LinkedIn right now. I have a great show that I do. It's like a podcast / TV show, total chaos, called Carlos Cicada Show. Carlos Inspire Show is 2-in-1. And I interview